I think this one will be a lot better. I just hope I don't start sweating. Better Therapy. What's up, world? Ugo here from Better Therapy Now. Better Therapy Now podcast. I believe we're on episode 5 already. I've had so much trouble with Riverside that I've almost abandoned it. They say don't record on your phone camera, but that's the thing that works the best. My phone camera's doing some weird stuff. So I want to talk about a few things today. I'm gonna go through a type of therapy that specifically responds to grieving, called acceptance and commitment therapy. I think this is really interesting, and I run across a lot of people who are grieving in substance abuse individual sessions with people. And I went through a long time not knowing exactly what to do with them, but a TV show that I watched made me think of one intervention that I find very interesting and in line with a lot of what I talk about, which is choosing your struggle wisely, core values, authentic purpose, and moving forward with your strengths. Updates on my book that I'm writing for fun, as like I guess you'd say as a hobby, but I'm able to sit down at least 2 to 3 times a week, which right now I'm satisfied with. I'm not happy with, I'm content with. I'm not happy with, I could do better, but 2 to 3 times focus for at least an hour or two, I'm content with that. That's decent. We're talking about men and commitment. That was a video earlier this week, and I want to get into it a little bit more because there's a few more things that I feel like I can talk about. My writing history is really interesting, especially my time at IHOP. I think IHOP is like one of those key events in my life, like keystone moments. I always refer to keystone moments. My time working at IHOP when I was a teenager into my early 20s is definitely a keystone moment. I kind of forgot about that as one of my favorite jobs, or really my favorite job. If somebody asks me, what was your favorite job that you ever had? I always say working graveyard at IHOP at the end of Mill Avenue in Tempe, Arizona. That was great. And then what are we ending on? Struggles. Talking about the most tough time in your life as a way to identify patterns that will lead you to core values. So that is kind of on the agenda, but new show I just discovered last night, and it's a crazy show. It's called Servant. They promoted it as being directed by M. Night Shyamalan. I think they just put his name on there because he's really famous, because he didn't create it, he didn't direct it, but it does kind of feel like one of his movies. Very dark, a horror movie, but not like a gore horror movie. It's basically about a Philadelphia couple. The wife is a news anchor, like a broadcaster, and the husband is a cook, a chef. He cooked this. I thought his job was actually really interesting. He is a chef at home. He works from home, and he develops recipes for different restaurants. And he spends his entire day just like testing different things. I believe his specialty is fish, because he's always bringing in live fish and like killing the fish in his house. And he has I forget the type of chef that they call him, but he's the type of chef that works with him and just like helps him cook and stuff like that. And this couple had a kid, but like, I guess before the show started, their history is that they had a kid and the kid passed away. And what the wife does to grieve, to help her grieve and I guess deal with all the sadness, is that she buys a lifelike doll and treats it like a live baby and takes care of it. And she goes so far that she hires a nanny to come to the home, live in the home with them. They're very wealthy. Live in the home with them in Philadelphia and take care of the baby when she's at work. And she's not acting like it's a doll. She's acting like it's a real baby. And it just, and the nanny that they hire is really young. I would be really uncomfortable. The dad in the show is really uncomfortable. She's like 18 years old. She looks 15 years old. and she's really really weird, very socially awkward, not just nervous, but really socially awkward and extremely religious. Like she creates like these religious artifacts that are very creepy and almost look like witchcraft. But but I looked into this because I was like, is this real thing? I could see this being a real thing. In the show, I believe it was an unlicensed therapist that recommended it, and in real life, these dolls exist. They're called reborn dolls. So how do they define it? Define it as hyper-realistic dolls, often referred to as reborn dolls. Like there's music. They're sometimes used therapeutically by grieving parents. These dolls can serve as a physical reminder of the child and provide comfort, though this is not for everyone. So it's really strange. It's a really strange. I could not imagine somebody like doing this. I wonder if anybody's like, because it was very clear that the mother had a pretty severe reaction from her child passing away, to the point where she was they kind of talk about in the show where she was not responsive. She was just kind of comatose. And then having this dog kind of brought her out of that. But it made me think a lot about how people grieve, because a lot of the times people will come to one of our facilities and they'll do individual sessions, and they'll just give me like a whole list of people that have passed away. And I've never been specifically trained in any type of grieving therapy or anything like that. It wasn't part of my schooling. My internship, that wasn't really a thing. It was mostly like addiction treatment, anxiety, and depression were kind of like the main things. A little bit of PTSD, and really the modality was cognitive behavioral therapy. So people come to the facility and they need to grieve, and I always find myself doing a lot of research, trying to figure out how to help them process. One type of therapy that is in line with how I view recovery and modalities and things like that is acceptance and commitment therapy. The acronym's ACT. Anyway, so acceptance and commitment therapy, a type of psychotherapy that focuses on helping individuals develop psychologically flexibility to live a rich, meaningful life, even in the face of difficult emotions, thoughts, and circumstances, is rooted in mindfulness and behavioral strategies, emphasizing acceptance and committed action aligned with personal values. So the fact that it emphasized acceptance is what I think really helps. And it has some core principles. So one of them is acceptance, kind of making room for difficult emotions in your life. So somebody goes through because a lot of the people that I'll talk to, I remember some people have experienced like 20, 30 people that they know passing away. And you think somebody comes from like a small town or a reservation, everybody kind of knows everybody. So, and drugs and or alcohol will be rampant in these towns. So a whole lot of people are suffering with substance abuse. So as a result, and it's generational, as a result, they are suffering from liver disease and heart attacks and high blood pressure and diabetes and all these different conditions. So people are just passing away all the time. And then on top of that, the behavior that all the substances incites is just crazy. A lot of murders, a lot of something that I didn't realize that came to my attention in the past couple of years is a lot of staged suicide. So killing people and then making it look like suicide, and that being how it's reported. Just kind of the type of small town stuff that you'd see in a movie, but it's really happening. And these are kind of the stories that people are sharing. So they're dealing with a whole lot of difficult emotions and trying to, make room for them because they've probably been resisted in the past. So cognitive diffusion. Cognitive diffusion is another principle of acceptance and commitment therapy. And it's very similar to cognitive behavioral therapy in terms of identifying negative thought patterns and replacing those negative thought patterns with positive thoughts. So a lot of positive affirmations, a lot of self-exploration and conversation between, myself and the client to identify what is to catch them saying something negative. And that's is you really have to listen too, because what makes it powerful when you're doing CBT is that you're talking to them and then you catch them in the moment, sort of thing. That's what I know that when I've done individual therapy as a client, that was what they did to me. We would just be talking